Have you ever woken up one morning feeling your body more rigid, more locked, and with more intense tremors despite having taken your Parkinson's medications correctly? Perhaps you've noticed that on some days your symptoms seem much more controlled, while on others it's as if the disease were advancing rapidly without any apparent explanation. What if I told you that this roller coaster of symptoms could be directly linked to something you put on your plate daily, something that most people, including doctors, consider extremely healthy and recommend to all patients? I'm talking about a specific fruit that, due to its high sugar content, may be silently accelerating the inflammatory process in your brain and compromising the effectiveness of your Parkinson's treatment. As a neurologist specializing in neurodegenerative diseases, I've observed an alarming pattern in my Parkinson's patients who regularly consume this fruit. Many of them report significant worsening of tremors, muscle rigidity, and even slowness of movement within 24 to 48 hours after consumption. Even more concerning are recent scientific data that are beginning to establish a direct connection between excessive consumption of this type of sugar and accelerated neurodegeneration. Today, I'll share with you this discovery that could revolutionize your Parkinson's treatment and explain exactly what happens in your brain when you consume this seemingly harmless fruit. Before we begin, I'd like to know where you're watching from today. Leave a comment below and feel free to ask any questions you may have. If this information is useful to you, consider subscribing to the channel. It's the best way to ensure you'll receive more content like this every week, created especially for those living with Parkinson's. Our subscribers always receive updates first and have access to all our previous videos, which form a true guide to living better despite the challenges of the disease. Click the subscribe button now. It's quick, free, and can make a big difference in your daily life. Let's first talk about how sugar affects the brain of someone with Parkinson's. Among the various types of food we consume daily, sugar stands out as one of the most problematic for people with neurodegenerative diseases. When we talk about sugar, we're not just referring to the refined white sugar you add to coffee, but also to sugars naturally present in some foods, especially certain fruits. The problem is that both added and natural sugar can trigger inflammatory processes in the body. But how exactly does this happen in the case of Parkinson's? Parkinson's disease is characterized by the progressive loss of dopamine-producing neurons in the substantia nigra of the brain. This neuronal loss is directly related to inflammatory processes and oxidative stress in brain cells. When you consume foods rich in simple sugars, such as fructose, they are quickly absorbed by the body, causing spikes in blood glucose. These spikes trigger the release of insulin, which, in excess, can increase the production of inflammatory cytokines and intensify neuroinflammation. Recent research has shown that excessive consumption of sugars, and especially fructose, can significantly increase the production of free radicals in the brain. These free radicals are unstable molecules that damage neural cells, including those already weakened by Parkinson's disease. Additionally, excess sugar can interfere with normal cell signaling, further compromising the function of remaining dopaminergic neurons. Studies in animal models of Parkinson's published in the last year showed that a diet rich in simple sugars accelerated neuronal degeneration and intensified Parkinson's-like symptoms. In humans, we observe increasingly strong correlations between high sugar consumption and faster disease progression, as well as reduced response to conventional medications. Now that we understand how sugar affects the brain with Parkinson's, let's talk specifically about mangoes, the fruit that can be problematic for patients with this condition. Surprisingly, mangoes are often recommended as part of a healthy diet, and indeed have many beneficial nutrients. They're rich in vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber. However, there is a significant problem with this fruit for those with Parkinson's. Mangoes contain one of the highest levels of fructose among all common fruits. A medium-sized mango can contain up to 30 grams of sugar, equivalent to approximately 7 teaspoons of table sugar. This high fructose content is precisely what makes it so sweet and tasty, but also potentially harmful for people with inflammatory conditions like Parkinson's. When you consume a mango, the body processes fructose differently from other sugars. While glucose can be used by virtually all cells in the body, fructose is primarily metabolized by the liver. This differentiated metabolism of fructose has been associated with an increase in inflammatory markers in the body. In the context of Parkinson's, this additional inflammation can cross the blood-brain barrier and worsen existing neuroinflammation. Moreover, mangoes have a moderately high glycemic index, which means they can cause considerable spikes in blood sugar, even though they're a natural fruit. These spikes are particularly problematic for Parkinson's patients, as they can intensify insulin resistance in the brain, a factor that is increasingly being recognized as contributing to neurodegeneration. Before we move on to the next exercise, I want to open a space for something extremely valuable: your own experience. Have you already discovered any technique, small trick, or adaptation that has helped you better cope with Parkinson's in your daily life? You know, that simple solution you found and thought, "Why didn't anyone tell me this before?" Sometimes the best strategies come from those who live the reality of the disease every day, not from books or clinical studies. Share with us in the comments. You can simply copy and complete the phrase. One thing I discovered that helped me a lot was, your contribution may seem small to you, but it could be exactly what another person has been looking for months or years. I've seen people transform their lives after learning tips from other members of our community in the comments, and that's more powerful than any advice I can give alone. Let's make this space a true bank of collective wisdom, where everyone learns and grows together. Now, let's continue with our second technique, which perfectly complements what we've just seen. It's important to note that not all fruits present the same risks as mangoes. There are several fruits that can be consumed safely and even bring benefits to people with Parkinson's. The most recommended fruits are those with low sugar content and high antioxidant content. Red fruits such as strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries are excellent choices. These fruits contain polyphenols and anthocyanins, compounds with anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective properties. Studies have shown that anthocyanins present in these fruits can help protect dopaminergic neurons and potentially slow the progression of Parkinson's disease. Other fruits with low sugar content include kiwi, green apple, and citrus fruits, such as lemon and orange. These fruits not only have less fructose but are also rich in vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant that can help combat oxidative stress in the brain. Vitamin C also improves the absorption of levodopa, the main medication used in the treatment of Parkinson's. The general recommendation is to prioritize whole fruits instead of juices, even if natural, because the juicing process concentrates sugars and eliminates much of the fiber that helps slow down sugar absorption in the blood. Additionally, it's better to consume smaller portions of fruit distributed throughout the day instead of a large quantity at once, which could cause a spike in blood sugar. Before moving on to the next topic, I want to create a moment of pause and reflection. Is there any question about Parkinson's that you've always wanted to ask but never found the appropriate space for? Perhaps a doubt that seems too simple to take to the doctor, or a fear you keep deep in your heart about the future? Know that this space is safe for all questions, without judgments or simplistic answers. Leave your question in the comments. You can simply copy and complete. My biggest question about Parkinson's is, often, the question you have is the same one that dozens of other people are silently trying to answer. I promise that in the coming weeks, we'll address the most frequent questions in specific videos with evidence-based information, but explained in a simple and human way. Your question can help not just you, but an entire community of people who may not have the courage to ask. Now, let's continue with our third strategy, which can bring practical answers to many of the questions that arise in daily life. Let's now discuss how inflammation caused by sugar interferes with the effectiveness of Parkinson's medications. Levodopa, the most commonly used medication in the treatment of Parkinson's, functions as a precursor of dopamine in the brain. For this medication to be effective, it needs to reach the brain and be converted to dopamine by the still-functioning neurons. However, several factors can compromise this conversion, and excess sugar is one of them. When there is an elevated inflammatory state in the body, including in the brain, the efficiency of converting levodopa to dopamine can be reduced. This happens because inflammation affects the function of enzymes responsible for this conversion and can also compromise the ability of neurons to use the available dopamine. Furthermore, chronic inflammation can aggravate a phenomenon known as endoplasmic reticulum stress, which occurs in the brain cells of Parkinson's patients. This cellular stress contributes to the misfolding of proteins, including those necessary for dopamine metabolism. Consequently, even if you're taking your medication correctly at the times prescribed by your doctor, the inflammatory state exacerbated by consuming foods rich in sugar, like mangoes, may be significantly reducing the benefit you get from it. Many patients report that after reducing sugar consumption, they are able to maintain control of symptoms with lower doses of medication, or experience less intense and less frequent off periods. Another important aspect is the interaction between sugar and the blood-brain barrier, the structure that protects the brain by controlling which substances can enter or leave it. Recent research suggests that inflammation caused by chronic sugar consumption can compromise the integrity of this barrier, facilitating the entry of potentially harmful substances into the brain and hindering the entry of beneficial medications like levodopa. This creates a vicious cycle where sugar consumption increases inflammation, which in turn reduces the effectiveness of medication, leading to more symptoms and often the need for higher doses of medications that can cause significant side effects. Before we continue with our next method, I want to extend a special invitation to you. If you or someone you love is facing the daily challenges of Parkinson's and is looking for reliable information based on science but explained simply, this channel was created especially with you in mind. Here we regularly share practical strategies, exercises, and tips that have helped hundreds of people recover small and large independences in their daily lives. Click the subscribe button now. It's completely free, and this way you won't miss any technique that could make a difference in your quality of life or that of your family member. Let's continue with the second strategy that promises to bring significant relief to your treatment. Let's talk about practical strategies to balance fruit consumption while maintaining a nutritious diet without aggravating Parkinson's symptoms. The first and most important recommendation is to reduce or eliminate the consumption of mangoes and other fruits with high sugar content such as raisins, dates, and very ripe bananas. This doesn't mean you should eliminate all fruits from your diet, as they are important sources of vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Instead, opt to substitute the more sugary fruits with alternatives that have lower sugar content. Fruits such as green apple, kiwi, strawberry, blackberry, and raspberry are excellent choices because, besides having less sugar, they are also rich in antioxidants that can help combat inflammation. Citrus fruits like orange and tangerine can also be consumed in moderation, preferably alongside a protein source to slow down sugar absorption. Another important strategy is to pay attention to the ripening stage of fruits. Less ripe fruits generally contain less sugar. For example, a green banana has significantly less sugar than a very ripe one. The same applies to other fruits, such as pears and apples. The time of day when you consume fruits can also make a difference. It's preferable to consume fruits as part of a balanced meal that includes proteins and healthy fats instead of consuming the fruit alone as a snack. Proteins and fats help slow down sugar absorption in the blood, reducing glucose spikes and consequently decreasing the inflammatory impact. The quantity of fruit consumed at once is also crucial. Even fruits with lower sugar content can cause problems if consumed in large quantities. The recommendation is to limit consumption to a small portion at a time and no more than 2 to 3 portions per day, depending on the chosen fruit and your individual sensitivity to sugar. Each person with Parkinson's may have a different tolerance to fruit sugar. Some patients notice a worsening of symptoms, even with small quantities, while others may tolerate it better. Therefore, it's important that you observe your own body and note how it responds after consuming different types and quantities of fruits. Keep a food diary for a few weeks, noting what you ate and how you felt in the following 24 to 48 hours to identify patterns and make personalized adjustments to your diet. For people with Parkinson's who seek to improve their symptom control and potentially slow down the progression of the disease, understanding the impact of sugar, especially the fructose present in fruits like mangoes, is fundamental. By avoiding fruits with high sugar content, substituting them with healthier alternatives with anti-inflammatory properties, you can help reduce neuroinflammation, improve the effectiveness of your medications, and possibly slow down the progression of the disease. Remember that small changes in diet, made consistently over time, can have a significant impact on your quality of life with Parkinson's. You may have already noticed how difficult it is to find specific information about dealing with Parkinson's in daily life, especially content in English that truly understands the reality of patients. That's why our channel exists, to be that place where you find clear answers, without complicated medical terminology and without false promises. By subscribing to the Parkinson's Insights channel, you join thousands of people who, like you, seek to live better despite Parkinson's. In addition to weekly videos with practical tips, our community in the comments shares experiences and offers support. We've been receiving touching messages from subscribers who managed to resume activities they had abandoned using our techniques. from walking in the park to playing with grandchildren. We're not promising miracles, but rather small daily victories that, when added up, transform quality of life. If this makes sense to you, click the subscribe button now. It's free and could be the first step to discovering new possibilities for your well-being. Remember, knowledge is a powerful tool, and we want to share this with you every week. In summary, although mangoes are widely considered a healthy fruit for the general population, for people with Parkinson's, their high fructose content can potentially accelerate inflammatory processes in the brain, aggravating neurodegeneration and interfering with medication effectiveness. Replacing mangoes and other sugar-rich fruits with alternatives that have lower fructose content and greater anti-inflammatory properties, such as berries, can be a simple but effective strategy to improve symptom control. Remember that these recommendations do not replace personalized medical guidance. Each person with Parkinson's responds uniquely to different foods and interventions. Use the information from this video as a starting point for an informed conversation with your doctor or nutritionist. Together, you can develop a personalized dietary strategy that considers not only inflammation control, but also other important aspects such as interaction with medications, your personal preferences, and any other health conditions you may have. Thank you for being with us today, and I hope to see you in our next video. Take care.